Snap. Hey. Hi. I'm trying to do this thing where I'm all like, what's the word? Transparent. What's another word? I don't know. What are words? Transparent, I think, for the sake of integrity. And honestly, this Uranus retrograde, the cosmic egg and the Phoenix at the cut. This new moon, Uranus retrograde, whatever type energy, is got me in my feelings. Or something. I don't know what is happening. I'm like, how do I deal with this? I'm like, oh, it's a little late. Let me stop. I'm like, how do I deal with this? What am I supposed to? Oh, snap. There's the elephant. Shout out to Ganesha. The elephant is one of the first cards I got. One of the first cards I pulled for myself, period. So, yeah, one of the first cards I got from this deck, too. It's the elephant. Was it the first card? I think I've looked at it before. It came out in the past in reverse for me. And the dolphin was there in the present, I believe. And then the peacock was there in the future. And then I had the moth and something else. And the bottom. These are shuffling like pretty nicely. It feels very satisfying. Anyway, your boy's been in his feelings. And he doesn't know what's going on. He's just like, what's happening? A few days ago, Uranus was like dropping. Before, it was like the day before Uranus went retrograde. I don't know if it was Uranus or something else. I dropped. Oh, there's the elephant again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle this up, pull out the top and bottom. We'll set them to the sides, and then I'll pull 3 cards to clarify, and this will be just general, whatever. I got the book here. Also, today has been me doing some things that I didn't give myself enough credit for, or didn't think I'd be able to do, question mark. One of those things, well, it's about my eyes, too, was reading. And I actually read a little bit better than, some previous attempts. And then I was playing Animal Crossing. And before I even tried to do this one thing, I went to go ask my brother if he would do it for me. Because my eyes. And he was in the middle of something. I was like, you know what? Well, the least I could do is try. So I tried, and I actually did it. And I was like, oh, I guess I didn't need for you to do this for me, strangely enough. Some of what I'm going through, quote-unquote ascension symptoms, maybe, things have been really, really hot internally. And it started at the top of the month. It cooled down. Actually, it started at the end of last month, I think. It cooled down around Lionsgate, and I was good. But then a few days before the new moon is when things started to warm up again. And I've just been like sweating a lot, like more than I should be. And it's not even that hot, like temperature wise, but my body is just like, and it's not a fever. And it's localized in my chest area, around the heart. Oh, look, there's a phoenix. No, that was a hawk. It's localized around the chest area, and like my chest will be warmer, my upper chest will be warmer than the rest of my body to the touch. And then things started to cool down, and then I started experiencing this external coolness. So I would be like internally warm, externally cool. I've noticed that when I'm laying down to go to sleep, my jaw will like tense up sometimes, and every time I feel it, I like consciously release that. And just emotionally, it's just like, I was good, but I commend all of y'all who do whatever y'all be doing for how, as long as y'all be doing it, because I'm not the type of person that likes to hold on to stuff. So when my emotions hit a certain threshold, I'm just like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's see what we're going to do with this. Because if we ain't doing nothing, then I can drop this. And I can move forward my way, right? And I was just feeling that, oh, work. That's a whole bunch, so we're not going to do that. But those are out of the way, so we can get these two. We'll do the top on the left and the bottom on the right. Bottom of the deck is the Lamb. The Lamb. Oh my gosh, the Lamb is at the bottom of the deck. And at the top of the deck left from earlier is the Four of Swords. Look at that. Cute. I don't know why the hills are alive with the sound of music just popped into my mind. But when they said it on Moulin Rouge. The lion, the oyster, the bear, and the otter. I saw the otter earlier. The lion can speak of pride. It can also speak of status, right? And a position. Also majesty and beauty. The oyster speaks to deep secrets that are tightly held. The bear can be a few things. Lobo. Lobo. What is lobo? That's not wolf. It's not wolf, right? Is it wolf? Is lobo wolf in Spanish? Let's see. Hey Siri, what is wolf in Spanish?
I found fall results in Spanish.
Yeah, it's
if
lobo.
If you mean wild, dog-like animal that howls, you'd say lobo. If you
Lobo.
mean man who makes aggressive romantic advances, Don Juan. Cruel and aggressive person, bestia. Late 19th century Austrian composer, Hugo Wolf.
What? How we get a Don Juan? Man who makes aggressive romantic advances, and then bestia, cruel and aggressive person. Okay. Maybe it is aggressive. I know. I don't know. Lobo, it's wolf. I was like, Lobo, is that wolf? And I only know that, or one of the reasons why I really know that is because Lobomon from Digimon, but Lobomon don't really look like a wolf to me. But I was like, wait, isn't Lobo a wolf? Lobo. The lion, the oyster, the bear, and the otter. Otters are playful. Bears can run the gamut, honestly, between playful and aggressive. So these could be aggressively playful. That reminds me of my one uncle who would like tickle us, but when he tickled us, it would hurt, but we would still laugh. So I guess he didn't realize that it hurt as much as it did because we were laughing. But it was honestly, it wasn't extremely excruciating, but it was a little painful. Lions can be playful too. But there's something, it's like we're not getting a complete picture of this lion energy because the oyster is coming. And it may not necessarily be straight up pride, but it's like there's an image that this lion has to maintain as the king of the jungle. And so there are things that the lion sort of buries deep within. And it may be the playful side of it, or who this lion could be if they weren't always on the defensive. Because it's like what's buried deep inside is the bear and the otter. The bear is hibernating. The otter is like the inner child. It's very playful and stuff like that, right? So, okay. Somebody inner child, then on deep ice. And then there's the lizard. And it's time to take it off. But yeah, I'm just like, this is a lot of emotion. And I feel like I can't do anything with it. So every time that happens, I get tempted to just drop it. I'm just like, well, F this. Most of the time. And I feel the tower with the daughter of wands. I feel like these beginnings starting to come in. And not the Hierophant. And I'm ready to start. And there are things that I was sort of patiently waiting for, but it's like, well, you know, it's It's not first come, first serve, but it's like I don't want to rush anyone's process because nobody rushed me. And if somebody did try to rush me, I personally probably wouldn't have responded very well to that because I don't respond well to pokes and prods more often than not. It depends who it comes from, honestly. But on a general basis, a magician and a hermit. The only one we're missing is the lovers. That's Mercury and Virgo. We're about to wait. Is Mercury in Virgo right now? Well, probably not, because I would have gotten the notification. I know that the moon slid into Virgo. Yeah, Mercury's in Virgo right now. 0 degrees in 13 minutes. Huh. Look at this. The moon and Mercury both in Virgo, and then the sun will be in Virgo in 3 degrees. Y'all see that? Oh, there we go. Moon and Mercury in Virgo. Interesting. We're going to be having some grand Earth trine action. Well, actually, we won't be because, well, it'll be extremely loose. Because the closest thing to 10 degrees, well, I guess Pallas is there. So, yeah, there's a grand Earth trine in the sky right now, actually. Between Uranus at 10 degrees, Pallas at 13 degrees Capricorn, Uranus is 10 degrees Taurus, and then the moon is 12 degrees Virgo right now. So there's a cute little Earth trine. Let's see if we can pull it up. No, that ain't it. The chart. There we go. I'll just do the trines. Hold up. Just take my word for it. I'm going to forget where I'm going. Or don't just take my word for it, honestly. Do it with that information what you will. Oh, there's the Daughter of Cups. Okay, I see you. But yeah, it's just like, this is a lot. But it for a second, it reminded me of last year when I was hit with a flood of emotion and everybody that I tried to reach out to was busy or just not answering. And I just had to sit with my feelings. And so I guess I was kind of sort of prepared for this moment then. Even though, and it's like it's worse now in some regards because it's like, oh wait, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that. It's like multiple sides, you know. Before I feel like it was one sided, so I was like, oh, you know, I'll just get over this. Now I don't know, and it's a lot, and so that's what I'm going through right now, more or less. Not all the time. It's just more than I'd care to handle. But I mean, honestly, if it weren't a challenge, it wouldn't be much of a whatever, would it? And it's also, I feel like the patience that I'm learning now is going to serve me a lot later as well. Patience is something that I've been practicing I don't want to say all my life. Patience is something that I've been intentionally practicing since like 2011 or 2012 when I was at school, when I went to college. I started practicing patience. I'm not a very patient person. I can be quite impatient. And it didn't necessarily get me into trouble, but I didn't really like that about myself. So I decided to change it. And I started practicing patience by, like on campus, I would wait until the Walkman came up, regardless of if there's traffic or not. And I would do other little things just to put myself in a position to like wait and not act on something as soon as I had the opportunity to. So yeah, I'll be all right. But it's like, I don't know, it's a tough spot to be in because I don't want for my impatience to, because I know ultimately at the end of the day that if things aren't done properly, it's not going to work. Nothing will work if it's not done properly. And I know that I'm also being put in a space to prepare for whatever is next. And so this patience and this sitting with all of this feeling and emotion is probably part of what I'm meant to learn right now. And so I guess I'll just take it. I don't know. It isn't too often where I'm just like, F this, I'm out. But it is like, I don't know if I've said it on this channel, but also since March, I've been learning self-love. And the self-love factor is complicating things a little bit because it's like, well, it's making me constantly question, it's encouraging me to constantly look at the energy that I give and look at the energy that I receive. And sometimes I guess it's just about doing less. But at a certain point, it's like, well, if I'm at the point where I'm doing nothing to match whatever's coming from like the environment, then I'd rather just go somewhere where I can do something. I've done nothing like my whole life, and honestly, not a fan. But then at the same time, there's also this element of understanding, and not only understanding the past, but understanding the present, trying to understand or empathizing with the emotions, but also the different communication styles, right? But then it reaches a certain point where it's like, okay, so I can do all that, but is this like actual factual, or is this me trying to just like whatever something? Oh, Six of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, I knew I should have. Part of me was like, oh, I should just flip it over. Honestly, I'm kind of sort of feeling this energy of like the yin and the yang in the energy oracle, where if it's upright, it's the yin, and if it's in reverse, and it's the yang. And the Six of Pentacles is about giving and receiving. And so maybe in the reverse, it is this time of receiving, whereas upright, it would be a time of giving. Or at least that's how I take it. Some people would say that like receiving is upright and giving is in reverse. It kind of sort of depends on your perspective, right? Are you the person dropping the coins, or are you the person taking the coins? But I'm feeling it as a space of receiving. But it's also a space of waiting for these things to mature and waiting for them to ripen. So it's kind of like almost like the Seven of Pentacles adjacent energy. I mean, it is the six, so, you know, understandable. But it's like everything has already been tended to if you've done everything that it is for you to do. And who's to know if there's not more that we can do, right? I guess you'll find out in your day-to-day life. I just saw the Seven of Pentacles. Let's just pull this card. The High Priestess upright and the Nine of Wands in reverse. Bottom of the deck is the King of Wands. So let's just look at this real quick. The King of Wands goes after what he wants, but in a way that is different than the Queen of Wands. Because I was going to say the Queen of Wands would just go get it. But I'm like, wait, or would the Queen of Wands have the King of Wands go and get it? For the Queen of Wands. Something for this king is not for this king. Or something that this king is going after is not for him. But it's like the king knows his queen and he knows what she likes. And so he's going off to sort of get something for her. And the her could be you. You could be manifesting something. And this is the Eight of Wands in reverse if the king is upright and there's 9 in reverse, right? It's like -9 plus 1 is -8. I need to stop explaining stuff because then I lose it. It's like you're manifesting something, and or it's like you're not. It's like there's something behind the scenes. It's like you're focused on something that isn't this necessarily, but somebody on some side of the veil or another knows that you would really enjoy this thing. And so they're also putting this on your path. But they're not telling you what it's for. It's almost like there's something that someone wants to make for you, but you're the person who runs to the grocery store. And so they write up the list, and it's like there are these little things on the list. It's like it's not a super long list, but it's a sizable list. And if it were only the three things, then maybe you'd be able to piece together what it is that they're going to make. But since there's like 15 things, you don't really catch it or notice it. And so it's almost like while you're in the space of doing and preparing for these other things, there's something else that's also going to come along. If that makes any sense at all. But I've also been saying lately to be open and to be creative. And maybe it's like being open to something that you didn't even know you wanted until you got it, or until it came into or comes into your experience. But you're also preparing for this thing. You're also preparing to receive this thing, maybe in some ways that you don't even currently know. Because someone's trying to surprise you with something, maybe. But anyway, so back to whatever I was talking about, emotions. But I'm like, I am a Pisces, and I got I do have water in my chart, but I also got Capricorn in my chart. And Neptune, my Neptune is in Capricorn. I mean, Capricorn or Neptune is kind of sort of one of those generational planets, right? You get a bunch of people with Neptune in the same sign, Uranus in the same sign, and Pluto in the same sign, especially because they're so far out. But it's like, I'm a Pisces, so that's my ruling planet. My Eros is also in Capricorn. So, my Cupid planet, Capricorn. I've always been more attracted to like more mature dudes. But that's just because it's like, and that's why another reason why I never really dated too much, because it's like people who are my age are immature more often than not. And I don't have the time or the patience. I'm like, I need somebody who's like, I was gonna say premature, but that is not like someone who is already mature. Like before I go into that situation, mature. That's what I meant or would have meant by premature instead of like post mature. But also, I'm coming into a lot of new things myself. And what I've actually been finding recently is that I would kind of sort of actually prefer to not have somebody who's extremely mature. I would prefer to have someone who it's like my inner child could be alive. And I can be fairly dry sometimes, or a lot of times if y'all can't tell. So I think it would be nice to have someone who's like fun to like balance me out. You know what I mean? Or not, I don't know. But anyway, the emotions have been high. I'm just like doing my best, as we all are. But also keeping in mind the things in the past. And it just like clicked in my mind. I was like, wait, I was in a space like this like last July when my heart first opened, like for real, and was just overrun by emotion and drowning almost. And I'm a fish, so it was you know, it was a lot. And it was like, well, how did I get through it then? And it was just like, just be in it. And it reminds me of this dream. I had this dream. It was like the night after, or the night that I decided to pull a lot of my energy back. I had this dream that was pretty contentious. I had a few of them. And in one of them, somebody was trying to drown me. And I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about this over here. In one of them, somebody was trying to drown me. And they were like, I can hold my breath longer than you can. Like, you might as well give up. And I'm stubborn to a fault sometimes. And I think that's another thing that I'm learning to release right now. Because I don't necessarily have like control issues. I don't necessarily have control issues that extend to my environment. But when it comes to me, myself, and how I operate, I feel like I can have a little bit of a control problem. And that comes in, or it's exacerbated by having all of these emotions that I feel like I can't do anything with. And it's like needing to do something with it to, in some way, like get over it, or wanting to express it, to get it out. But water over time carves canyons. And it might be time for my capacity to deepen even more. And maybe that's why I'm just holding this stuff right now, right? Because it's like the water is carving at the earth in me to expand the vessel for it. And maybe that increased emotional capacity will also be something that's very important, as well as this patience, right? And the understanding and everything else that I'm coming into right now. So I guess I should be grateful, right? And I actually feel better just like processing through it with y'all. So this is how, or this is one of the ways where I look at the things that I'm going through. So like if y'all see me on here talking about blah, 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 whatever, like I do it to myself too. So, right, don't think that it's like any different in my own personal life. Ooh, Ace of Cups with that two swings. Okay. All right. It's like, when are you going to be done shuffling? When I'm done. Hello? See that? Why am I like this? These are shuffling really nicely right now, though. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying just like shuffling things, because look at that. They're just like shuffling fairly nicely. But yeah, so I know that I'm learning things in this time. And again, it's like I don't want to put any pressure on anything. I don't want to rush anything before it's time. But at the same time, it's like, I'm ready to go. And maybe it's like, it ain't even time for you to go yet. Just keep, it's like you are exactly in this moment where you need to be. And if I'm exactly where I need to be in this moment, then what is there for this moment to teach me? And I think it is the stuff I just talked about. Now, I'll probably forget all of that. That's why I made integrate my word for 27. Because I feel like there are these times I have these like realizations and revelations, but my brain is just so, my Mercury is in Pisces, so it just kind of like my brain is just swimming all over the place. And so sometimes I kind of sort of forget the things that I already know. And my Mercury is in retrograde, and my Mercury is in the 12th house. So not that great, but I communicate and I see the world through stories and metaphors. So it actually, when it comes to learning and when it comes to other things, that Mercury in Pisces is actually more helpful than somebody might think. Because with metaphor, I'm more easily able to draw similarities between multiple things. And so, again, like, you'd be surprised at how interconnected so much stuff is. And people are like, oh, Patrick, you're so smart sometimes. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, you know, it's like this. Also really good, not really good, but decent at coming up with mnemonic devices, like ways to remember things. And I could question mark be a teacher, but if I know somebody, and especially if I know how they learn, then I'm decent at putting things in a way that they can get it. I remember there was a biology test, and there was like cyclic AMP on there, and my friend was having a little bit of trouble like remembering it. And I was like, well, let's just, because I knew that person knew the Greek system, the fraternities and sororities and stuff like that on campus. So I was like, okay, so you got the alphas, the betas, and the gammas, right? So the alphas are hanging out with the betas until some female comes around. And then the alpha runs off with the female, who is the gamma. And they're camping until something happens and the gamma leaves the alpha, and then the alpha goes back to hang out with the betas. And she was like, oh my gosh, not only can I understand that, but also that sounds like something that would actually happen in my life. I was like, I know, right? But sometimes people don't think I know what I'm talking about, because especially if it's like fresh off the brain, it's kind of hard for me to like find the words to accurately put to something. And I can also kind of sort of be a stickler with words too. Sometimes I get that from my mom and my dad, I think, where it's like, especially if I'm communicating my feelings or something like that, I try to be very intentional with the words that I use to communicate that. What's the house of communication? 7th house, maybe? Is this Libra? Maybe not. I don't know. That was a Hierophant. All right, let's do 3 more, and then we'll be ready to go. So yeah, I guess I'm cool with just, and it's not like I'm going out and looking for anything either. And then I think there is this tendency to kind of sort of look back on the past. And it's like, if there was anything worth going back to the past for, I'd kind of sort of already have it, question mark. And that's not like in general, because again, it's like, I reached the point where it's like, I know where my heart is. But then the next day, I just felt led to like release a bunch of stuff and to pull my energy back. And then it's like, well, maybe it is the case that I know where my heart is, but maybe where my heart is isn't where my heart should be. It's a back and forth, and it's annoying, honestly. I don't like it. But I will continue to learn the lessons in this moment that I am learning. And with that, let's get into this. But yeah, I just feel like I want to be more transparent. Let's look at it. Because integrity is something that I'm all about. And I saw something on Facebook that was so validating. And it was like, having standards or wanting to, it's just like having standards isn't a bad thing. And striving for things like that isn't a bad thing. It's like, it's not hypocritical. It's like, see, here I go again, trying to explain something and not being able to find words. It's like having standards isn't bad. Having, like, wanting to be a certain type of person yourself is not bad, even if it's unattainable or unachievable, because it inspires us to, at least for the most part, or in some situations, circumstances, and instances, to be a little bit better or to handle things in a different way. And it's like, just because no one always tells the truth doesn't mean we should be teaching kids to lie, right? And it's not hypocritical to be like, hey, like, let's do something better. Like, what's hypocritical is, what did it say? I should just read it, but this is going to be a lot longer. Well, what hypocritical is like, if you are intentionally not doing the things that you're preaching about doing and at the same time condemning people who are doing whatever. Basically, it's hypocritical when you're not even attempting to live up to your own standard. Judgment in reverse, Six of Cups in reverse, the Tower in reverse, and the Page of Swords in reverse. With Temperance in reverse at the bottom of the deck. Everything is in reverse. This is an energy. It honestly feels like of clearing past life karma. And I say that, here I go trying to explain it again. Because when the Six of Cups is upright, we see the tree. There we go. When the Six of Cups is in reverse, we see the roots. And then we have this Judgment also in reverse. So that's why I have a feeling it's like clearing past life karma. And that may be another reason why some things could be a little bit more difficult. And clearing past life karma, this energy is as simple as, I mean, let's take the past life out of it. This is evolving to the point, healing to the point, growing to the point that we don't continue to make the same mistakes that we always made because of these underlying influences that we never addressed. And that's one thing that 2020 has really given us the opportunity to address. So, never mind. I'm not even going to go there. Maybe on the other channel. Maybe I just won't go there. Yeah, I don't think it is for me to go there. So this is about, again, it's about addressing all of these roots, sort of. Why is that song stuck in my head? I don't even know the words. All I know is da 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 da. What's that? Me Against the Music, maybe? I want to get in the zone. It just popped into my head and it won't stop. Sorry. But it's about healing the root so that we're not having these issues on the surface anymore. So that we're not even necessarily having these thoughts or these temptations anymore. And with Judgment in reverse, again, it's about breaking these cycles. It's given me it's like we run these same cycles and we hit the same judgment, but we run the same cycle and hit the same judgment, and we run the same cycle and hit the same judgment. It's because with this Page of Swords in reverse, when we see all like the multicolored stars in here, so we know that her head is down here because that's where all the colors are. She's going to the root and she's cutting some of this stuff. And because she's cutting this stuff at the root, this page is free to grow and mature in a world where her novelty and her uniqueness isn't muted or anything like that, where she's actually encouraged to be her truest self. And with the Tower in reverse, it's like everything we need to make this happen has already happened. Now it's like I'm hearing bells go off. Like one of those Gothic cathedral type bells. As soon as I said everything we need, because it's like things are about to pick up here fairly soon. Soon-ish. And it's like the time for sitting around doing nothing with this Temperance in reverse is like over. It's almost like it's game time. And it's time to see if you are going to do that thing that actually gets you to be where you want to be, or if you're going to do that thing that keeps you from throwing away whatever it is that you actually want. Okay. All right. which is probably why I really need to get it. I mean, we all do. It's like I'm good on so many. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's talk about it. I'm not gonna complain. I can talk all night. Psych. But Seven of Cups upright. This is about options. Only one of these cups is pointing towards the sun. The other six are pointing towards the moon. This is also scorpionic energy. Scorpio is an energy of transformation. And then we just saw the Six of Cups, which is another Scorpio card in reverse. We have the Seven of Pentacles, the Father of Swords in reverse, and the Five of Swords upright. Both the Five of Swords and the King of Swords are Aquarian energies. But the Father of Swords is like royal Aquarian energy. So it's almost an energy of like a Uranus in retrograde, maybe even a Capricorn in retrograde. So it's a space of not really building. It's like the foundation that we're building with this energy doesn't actually get us any closer to where we actually want to be. And it doesn't do that if we didn't do that Six of Cups in reverse, judgment, inner child healing. That's what the Six of Cups has been this year, especially since like March, April, maybe. It's like the Six of Cups is inner child healing. And inner child healing, again, it's just going to the root of some of these issues, really looking at it and doing enough work that we don't just, it's like doing the work to free up our minds so that we're not just running these default sort of programs, following these default patterns of behavior that continue to lead us in spaces that we don't want to be in. And with the Father of Cups in reverse, it's like we were conditioned and accustomed to operating in that space. And if we care more about our comfort, and if we care more about wanting things to go back to the busted normal that we had, instead of taking these opportunities to actually come into something better than what we were used to. It's like this is a magic sword. And the thing about earthworms is that if you cut them in half, they'll grow back, right? But with this sword, it's like, but this is all like this earthworm is, it's not a snake, right? It's a worm. If it were a snake, after you cut it in half, it'd be like, done. But it's a worm. And so maybe it could also be the case that like, if you do cut this off, or if you did cut this off in the past, it's like you would be good for a certain amount of time, but then for some reason it would call you back. And as long as this Five of Swords is an earthworm, this is going to continue to grow. It's only when we get to the point of seeing this earthworm as a snake or as a shoestring or whatever that's not just going to grow back. It's going to continue to plague us. And what's interesting is like when we have traumas and when we carry them, they don't necessarily evolve with us, but sometimes they somehow manage to find a way to keep themselves relevant in our lives, right? It's like we can go to a situation that we think is completely different, but then our traumas will still be like, they'll try to maintain their relevancy in our life. But again, they don't evolve with this. So it's like every time we go to that space of trauma, we revert back to something else. We revert back to a previous edition. We revert back to a previous version. And one of the things is like being stuck in the past will also do that. Because it's like if you're doing something and like you get this update that you don't like, and so you go into the settings and you revert back to a previous version, to a previous backup before you updated this thing because you don't like it, or maybe you accidentally deleted something that you now want, and so you try to go to a previous like a backup to recover it. And then it's like if you recover from the backup, you lose everything else that you've already done. And so there's this question of like, is it worth moving forward or not? And only one of these cups is pointing towards the sign. So there's a lot of nay and only one yay. And the one yay is Kanye. Let me stop. I don't know why I just wanted to say that. Is it Kanye or is it Kanye? Let me stop. But yeah. And then, I mean, the Seven of Pentacles is all about conditioning. But also with the Seven of Pentacles, we're not so far gone down the line that we can't still recuperate or like minimize our losses. But that has to be something that we want to do for ourselves, honestly. We can't really, I mean, someone else can inspire us to want to do it, chariot at the bottom of the deck. But at the end of the day, we kind of sort of have to do it on our own for ourselves, because that's what makes it sort of sustainable, right? We got to reach the point where we want to do it for ourselves. And that's the point that I also had to reach for some things. And I do want to be more kind and patient and loving. And I would love it. Like fun fact about me, I've never been in a relationship, question mark. Question mark. But the reason why that is I never really felt ready for one. Like there were issues that I was running from basically since I was in like 6th, 7th grade. And my own mental was just not solid enough to try to bring anybody else into my world of reality or try to pour into anybody else. Also for a very, very, very long time until I was like 25 or 26, honestly. I was in this mindset where I didn't want to need anybody. And so in my mind, it's like, it doesn't make any sense for me to try to, because at first, like, and another thing is like, I'm not necessarily trying to like marry the first person that I date, but also at the same time, I'm not going to waste my time with something or on somebody that I don't see anything with. Like, we can just be friends. We ain't got a date if it ain't going to be like that type of situation. We can just be friends. But it's like, so like, if I'm like trying to put myself in a space where I don't need anybody, there are obvious walls already right there. So why would I try to pursue a relationship when I'm in that space? It wouldn't make any sense. And I knew that, so I never did. Let's just do this. Oops. And then here's the referee. Oh, 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Bottom of the deck is the Hierophant in reverse. Taurian energy, Taurian energy. Hierophant in reverse with the Lamb upright. Well, if I set it down this way, look upright to y'all, don't it? This is that flower gleam and grow, gleam and glow, let your power shine, make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine type energy. Heal what has been hurt, change the fate's design. I don't know the rest. I think I may have did it wrong, but I love just singing that. Especially when I first saw it, I would sing it all the time. I don't know what it is about that. I just loved it. Bring back what once was mine. What once was mine. Okay, anyway. Every time I see this 5 of Pentacles in reverse, I see this rose petal falling back up to the wilted flower, and it's like time is reversed and things stand back up. So if you ain't been able to get it up in a minute, it's going to be getting up like it ain't never been up before. Get your spirits up, get your vibe up, get your hopes and your dreams up, get your motivation up, your zest for life up. It's interesting if all that happens in, you know, time like now, but it's about coming in. And it's about coming home. And it's like one of the first homes that we have to come into is ourselves also. So let's read the sheep. Wake up, sheeple. It's like, okay. I ain't gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. That's a whole can of worms I ain't even trying to open. I'm gonna just let it slide. Oh my gosh. Here's the lamb. The lamb is peaceful, prophetic, and patient. P3, 3 Ps. The lamb is the bearer of important messages. Oh, okay. I was like, wait. The lamb is the bearer of an important message. Its contents can only be heard when a deep level of quiet has been established. Lamb energy is the honest guidance. The honest guidance you hear from an old friend, a young child, or sometimes a surprising stranger. Though the lamb's message may channel through another person, the wisdom resonates within you. It will repeat and reverberate until you listen. Approach this gentle creature with utmost patience and reverence. Truth is a gift. Sit patient. Wait. Truth is a gift, period. Sit still, listen, receive. When in balance, this is knowingness and inner peace. When out of balance, it is quiet, timid, and concerned. It's interesting that this energy is quiet when it's out of balance, almost insinuating as if it is for us to speak. To bring it into balance, meditation, and listening. It reminds me when I was an RA, I went to on this one of the dorms had like a petting zoo outside, and I went there with a few of the guys. We had dinner, and then we went over there. And pigs, I don't know what I thought it would feel like. Did not feel good. It felt like not bristly, but kind of like bristly. I didn't even get to pet the little sheep because it kept moving away. And so the first dude went up and he actually got to pet the little sheep, the little lamb. And I was like, oh, he must be of pure heart. And then the second dude went to go pet it and it ran off immediately. And I was like, oh, you must not be of pure heart. And then I tried my luck and I almost touched it, but it moved away. I was like, no, it's not fair. He was like, oh, it's so soft. I was like, well, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I mean, because it didn't let me touch it. But it brought that to mind. And then we have the Hierophant in reverse. And the Hierophant in reverse, Two of Swords is in reverse behind the Hierophant. The Nightingale is behind this lamb. This energy, it's like telling me that whatever the message is that we're in line to receive right now, it's probably going to be changing our foundation in some way. And that's why we looked at the Six of Cups in reverse with Judgment in reverse, and then the Tower and the Page of Swords in reverse. Maybe also that Page of Swords in reverse was a king or a queen in this Six of Cups upright energy, with the Judgment upright energy continuously running these cycles from the past and hitting these same judgment points, but never really learning any different. But then when we turn that Six of Cups in reverse and we we hit the rewind, we're looking at why and how we keep ending up in this situation. And so a king or a queen upright in that then turns into not only a page, but also a page in reverse. Because it is introspective and reflective, but it's also looking at it in a different way. Right? It's like how sometimes you have to lock the orientation of your phone It's like you can lock the rotation orientation and then change your phone, because if you don't lock the orientation when you change your phone, then the view is going to change, and it keeps you from looking at things with that certain angle. So you got to lock it into place first and then change the perspective. Change your perspective while the orientation of it is locked. And the locked orientation is just like how things don't just change by themselves, honestly. What is this? Is it this one? No, it's this one. Let's pull this down a little bit. Or a lot of it, apparently. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'll move this up a little bit. Oh, I like that. I like that. But we have to quiet our minds enough to listen. We have to be willing and ready to change. And we have to, I know it's like when you talk about fiction, it's like suspending disbelief, right? It's like whenever we read something that's fictional, some of us, we let go of the notion that a certain thing isn't real, right? And because we suspend our disbelief, we're open to experience the magic of the story in its fullness. And so with this horrifying and reverse energy, it's almost like in the old system, old paradigm, old thought patterns, we were conditioned to what to believe and what not to believe. And so as we're coming into these newer times, we're still operating with that old conditioning. And it's a time of suspending disbelief. It's a time of being open, because there are things that are being answered right now, and there's preparation that we're being sort of asked to do to receive what it is that we've been asking for. And if we can't suspend our disbelief enough to see the truths that are trying to be illuminated and highlighted to us right now, then we're going to miss it. So let's start over here, because I usually start on the other side. The dragonfly. Yes, dragonfly is like ancient wisdom, y'all. That's like, it's heavy. Dragonfly is that good energy. Dragonfly is that like woke energy, that lit energy. Let's see. Here it is right here. Dragonfly is master of light, illusion, and the mind. The dragonfly is an ancient and ethereal creature that awakens a sense of wonder in all. The dragonfly is a symbol of the mind, as it is always moving, shifting, shimmering, and changing. When the dragonfly card appears, it's worth considering the quality of your mind and perception. Are they restless or still, dreamlike or crystal clear? The situation at hand may be different than it appears at first glance. The dragonfly reminds us to calm the mind so the light of wisdom can shine through. When in balance, it sees clearly, it's joyful and magical. When out of balance, it can't concentrate and it's busy-minded. To bring into balance, focus on the breath. As I was talking about being still enough for all of this and suspending our disbelief. Dragonfly clarified by the devil upright, the Ten of Swords upright, and the sun. Is that okay? I mean, it's a little late, so I can't be too loud. I love this energy, and I'm glad I didn't end up doing it that way. The sun, the swords, and then the devil. No, it's the devil, the Ten of Swords, and the sun all upright. This is really that. I gotta break my own wrist. Let me stop. This is really that like leveling up energy. And that is when we can face the challenges and conquer that double energy. That's why the divine allows us to go through hard times. It's not because it enjoys watching us suffer. It's because that's what's necessary in order to get us to go where we actually want to be. Out of the darkness and into the light. But again, it's like whatever that, whatever this stuff is, if we don't suspend our disbelief enough to see what it is that we're actually supposed to be seeing right now, we're not going to get the liberation and the joy and the fulfillment that it is that we're truly seeking. And one of the things that I really appreciated early in the space of lockdown was a sense of global community. But it seems like the further and further we've gone into it, it's kind of sort of devolved into a circus of self. And it was like really refreshing at the beginning, right? I mean, it was tragic and it was still like not great, but to see like people from different lands coming together and like caring about what's happening in other countries, and like even like the what Lady Gaga did, the music concert thing, like stay at home together, like the whole stay at home together things and all of this stuff. Even when the protests started first breaking out around, you know, Black Lives Matter, and then other countries around the world, and we still over here ain't necessarily pay as much attention to Hong Kong as we could. I don't even pay as much attention to Hong Kong as I probably could, or I definitely could, but I know that they've been protesting over there for a minute. And it was 1 year, maybe 2015 Chinese Lunar New Year, maybe 2016 Chinese Lunar New Year. I think it was 2016 Chinese Lunar New Year. So like Feb 2016-ish. Fun fact, the Chinese Lunar New Year starts with the Aquarius new moon. So that's why it can be anywhere between January and February. So I was like, what new moon are they following? Because like, what? And it was Aquarius. I just found that out like yesterday or the day before. But I ended up reading like some articles around Hong Kong and the protests, and somebody was like, oh, like just sit down, shut up, and take it, and things will get better like it did for the Black people in America. And I'm like, y'all must not know what it's actually like over here for Black folks in America, because if y'all did, more people may be on here protesting and not like less. I was like, wow, that just really whites the way some people can spin some narratives, and just it's what. Anyway, it ain't even about that. But then there were like videos of like, was it like Italy, people singing on their balconies or something like that, floating around, other things in the world. And it was kind of sort of beautiful, even in the midst of the tragedy. But I guess in some ways we didn't necessarily keep up the traction of further uniting and coming together. And I guess, you know, it makes sense because when supplies start to go down, you know, a lot of people shift into competitive mind. When there's a lack and an observed lack in self, we start looking around at others and start asking, well, like, what can I take from somebody else that I don't have within myself? And that's that energy that keeps these cycles turning in the same way, even when like we try to break them. Because as soon as you come under pressure, or as soon as we come under pressure, we start looking at what we can take from other people instead of maybe tapping into other things. And again, when times are hard, and we got to do what we got to do to survive. But at some point, it's like we can be better. We can do better. We can create and not take. Also, it's like we're moving from this energy where it's like subjugation for all into like liberation for all. Because like devil energy goes after everybody, right? It isn't selective. But then it's like within the space of this transformation, then we come into this solar energy. And I guess you have to know the darkness to appreciate the light. And the hope is that once we navigate out of this darkness, we don't do anything to plunge ourselves or put ourselves in a similar or the same situation. And I think we will, because the Ten of Swords is here. So it's definitely putting an ending to all of this. But humans are stubborn, and you can't force change or love or compassion onto anybody. So I guess you just hit them with whatever. And also with people, sometimes folks come together when they face a common enemy because they can't just see past differences. They gotta have somebody that everyone hates to come together. Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm just like, really? We can't just vibe. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Okay, well, you don't know why the enemy of your enemy is your enemy's enemy. And that person who you are now calling your friend because you have the same enemy can screw you over worse than your old enemy did. And now you might be looking at your old enemy like they a new friend because now you know why they are the way they are because the enemy of the enemy. And it's like, oh, wow, maybe I was a little harsh on that other person. If I had gone through this, maybe I would be, oh, I don't say words like that. I would be a not great person too. Oh, where did that come from? Oh, that was not nice. But anyway, this dragonfly, it's almost giving me a hummingbird energy. Because dragonflies, they can hover, right? Yeah, dragonflies do that. They like hover sometimes and then they move somewhere else. And so there's this element of stillness and then moving. And also dragonflies can like move in all directions because of the set of their wings. And it's like this dragonfly is like zipping in between dimensions. It's also interesting because we have the downward pointing triangle here that's symbolic of the element of water or a femininity. And then we have the upper pointing triangle with the line in the air symbol. Merkabic energy also. So somebody Merkaba might be lit or might be getting lit. Over here we got the snake. But the snake is gorgeous. Be gorgeous. The snake is beautiful, gorgeous. I mean, look at that. Is that the flower of life or something like that? I actually saw the snake in a reading. Recently it came out. Let's read it. It's giving me that Ouroboros energy. Lately, when I've been seeing snakes biting their own tails, I've been seeing it as us keeping our ego in check. Here it is. Hey, look, earth and air. The snake is the guardian of unawakened magic and creative potential. Girl, guardian of unawakened magic, ancient wisdom and knowledge, master of light. What? What is this energy? Excuse me? Hello. I love this. The snake is a symbol of our highest potential. It is said that Shakti, our creative life force, lies dormant at the base of our spine in the form of a coiled snake. Regardless of whether this image rings true for you, it's well worth considering the amount of unawakened or untapped potential within. What would life look like if you woke it up? How can you stir it from slumber? An experienced yoga or meditation teacher can lead the way. Make haste. The snake card appears when there is no more time to waste. And what did I say? I was hearing bells because of because of, what was this? Because of Temperance in reverse, maybe? Or the Tower in reverse. It might have been the Tower in reverse. And I was like, I'm hearing bells. It's time to go. The snake is saying, make way or make haste. There's no more time to waste. Also, when Jormungandr, the world serpent, releases its own tail, and the Jormungandr is the world serpent in Norse mythology. That is, it's like this would be Midgard, right? And Midgard is where we live, and then the snake is coiled around it. And when the snake lets go of its own tail, that's the beginning of Ragnarok. And this card just said, ain't no more time to waste, so best make haste. But they also say haste makes waste. So also with this dragonfly, it's like if you are moving but you need to stop and recenter, expand a little bit and change direction, it's like you can do that. When in balance, this energy is prosperous, creative, and charismatic. When out of balance, it starts and stops many things. To bring this into balance is Kundalini yoga and meditation. That's the second time we've seen meditation pop up. I might actually start meditating a little bit more. I mean, I'm sure it couldn't hurt, right? Well, let's see. This is interesting. Six of Swords in reverse, Five of Cups in reverse, Ace of Pentacles upright for this snake. Ace of Pentacles and the Sun. Beautiful. Six of Swords in reverse and the Five of Cups in reverse. I feel like this is about not moving on so quickly. I feel like this is about taking the time to really sit with the self and process through emotions. Sometimes when we get hurt, we prioritize. It's like there's this whole show sometimes of like, oh, I'm not hurt. Look at what I'm doing. I'm happy. I'm doing this. I'm living my life. And it's like the dragonfly energy knows to take a moment to stop and address that and to process through it and then to move forward. It's like the snake energy is just going to try to keep on rolling. And the time for keeping on rolling is coming to a close. There's something, like I said, with that tower in reverse, it's like everything that you need to come into this new cycle, you have already experienced. And so it may be time to look into what's happened in your life this year. And if there's some stuff that went down that you didn't fully process, or you think that there may be a little bit more there, and even like maybe the last decade or whatever, I don't know, life in general, it's about really looking at and focusing on addressing those toxic patterns and the hurt from the past that led us to establishing and developing these patterns of thought and habit. Yeah, it's like don't be so quick to move on. Take the time to really feel things and really process through your emotions. And it's difficult. Who likes to do stuff like that, right? Besides me. I'm just playing. I'm sorry. Because if you move too quickly, you'll miss it. And if you miss it, you'll lose this. Everything has been happening to prepare us for the next phase of life. In our personal lives and as a global collective as well. And I think sometimes we try to move on really quickly so that we don't feel like we've been left out in the cold, or so that we don't feel like we're out in the cold. But like I said, the first home that you return to is the home of self. And it's like you could be going from place to place thinking you're not in the cold. Or it's like you try to go from home to home and you try to warm up by the fire, but if you're not addressing the underlying issues, you'll forever be cold. It doesn't matter if you're inside or outside. You can be inside in the cold. And for some people, it's better to be inside. It's better to be inside in the cold than outside in the cold. Yeah, sure, fair. but you're bringing the elements of the outside inside with you. So anything you would be subjected to outside, you'll also be subjected to inside. And that's one of the things that, like, this year, I think that could be one of the reasons why this year has been so relentless. It's because in the past we could escape, we could bypass whatever it was. But it's honestly like giving us the opportunity to really come into our own. And it's like no excuses, because it's like, 2020 is like, we've given you ample opportunity to do this. We hit you with so much that we thought that, eventually at some point you would, I don't know, try to do something. And it's been happening for a while. And I think I'm starting to see it a little bit more and more lately, that it's been going on for so long. And we know that, especially here in the US, the way that we've handled it's seemingly going to go on for even longer. And the one thing that I never really understood about the people, I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but we can all think for ourselves, right? The one thing that I never really understood about the people who buy into pandemic is that, like, it somehow puts us in a position where what's happening isn't happening. Because I'm of the mindset that, like, it doesn't matter if this was an accident, if this was natural, or if it was planned and intentional, because what's out there is out there, right? It doesn't matter if the building naturally caught on fire or if somebody set the building on fire. I'm not going to just chill in this building and wait until it burns down because it's on fire. And while we should, if it was planned, then I was going to say we leave it to the local law enforcement. Look, we leave it to the people who figure out who started the fire, right? But we still need to evacuate, and then we hold the people accountable. We can do both. But in my mind, it's just like, so planned means not real. Engineered or manufactured means less deadly, question mark. And somebody just reposted the video today, and I was like, you know what? I ain't never seen this thing, so I'm gonna just watch, like, I ain't even watched probably a whole full 3 to 5 minutes. But then I guess there was like this disaster preparedness, whatever. And honestly, it's like if 1920, 1820, 1720, we always had like these sort of plagues that would come onto the land. In 2020, the world now is so interconnected that there isn't necessarily really like, hey, like there is this black plague or bubonic plague spreading throughout Europe or like Britain or whatever, right? And centralized and localized only to that area. Like everything is so interconnected now, travel, business, people are flying all over the place all the time. If anything breaks out, it's going to be all over the world. Was it engineered? Could be, but it doesn't even have to be, right? Because things are so interconnected, and the more and more and more interconnected we become, the more it is the case that it's like things aren't necessarily localized anymore. And even our problems and issues aren't even really localized anymore. It's like you can find people going through the same or similar things all over the world. You can find and build communities of interests and problems all over the world, right? And especially like when it comes to healthcare and when it comes to certain operations and surgeries and stuff like that, you can have a problem where the amount of the solutions in your country is limited. So you got to fly to another country in order to have a procedure done or something like that. Like stuff like that happens all the time. And I guess I only bring that up to say that, like, let's continue to think a little deeper, right? Because if we stop at a certain point, then there are some insights that we could lose. And the state of the government all over the world is like one of the issues right now, a very important one. The fact that the media is what the media is, and we can see that now in some ways, is an issue. Law enforcement is what it is in some places, and we can see that now is an issue. The government, it's like, when I was in elementary school and even high school, when I took government, it's like, checks and balances. But it's been 4 years. What is checks and balances? Like, is that real? How is like, like I don't know why I laugh. I mean, but it's like, oh, the government is this or the government is that. And even if there was one bad leader, because of checks and balances, they wouldn't be able to do too much. And it isn't necessarily questioning the goodness or badness of who we have currently leading our country, but it is interesting how much he seems to get away with, or how much he's able to do. Where in the presidency, like literally right before that, it was like the opposite, right? It was like, it seemed like one person was met with constant opposition and wasn't able to do as much as what he would put out. And then another person is met with opposition from one side, but still manages to do like pretty much everything he wants. Where are the checks and balances? Where is the guardrail? What do we actually have to protect us in cases of not great situations? And it's like, I've done this now. So it's like Five of Pentacles in reverse, Ace of Pentacles with the Devil energy. It's like, this is kind of sort of the world that was built around us. We live in a world where being outside in the cold kind of sort of is the norm. And it is that way because it keeps us begging. It keeps us searching outside of ourselves. It keeps us from returning to that first home of the self. And when we're constantly separated from ourselves, never able to really rectify the situation or move forward in any way, it makes us easier to control in some ways. But I mean, this is devil energy. It's Capricorn energy, right? So one of the ways it can control us is greed and self-interest. And that hasn't really gone anywhere. I see ads now. There are over 1 million homes there are over 1 million vacant homes in America, and that number is climbing every day. Get into the real estate business and start making money. We're in this unique position to make more money than ever right now because everyone in the world is going to be wanting one thing. And you know what that is? A vaccine or a cure to this virus. Make money. And it's like, there are people losing these homes. There are people who are losing their lives and who are sick and whose lives, even if they do survive, has the potential to be forever changed. And your immediate thing is profit off of it and make money. this is the world that we live in. Like, really? Like, I see this stuff and I'm just like, it's not surprising, but and then it's like I saw this other ad of, I mean, and that one, I mean, it's also one of the laws of this world where to get anything, it's a cost to something or someone. And that's another thing I haven't been struggling with necessarily per se. It's just like something I haven't been appreciating lately. Because gosh darn, Prager U and their ads. Hey, best friend. It is. And it's not only desensitized. I mean, it is desensitized to a lot of things, but it's also like profiteering at the same time. And I'm just like, I don't like it. And it reminds me, I was in class one day, and at my school, they have a few partnerships with Africa. So they'll go over there and they'll do stuff. And one of the professors was just like, you know, in certain areas, they have all these troubles and all of these worries. And I just think about how much money we could make if we go over there. And I'm just like, well, here's that. I don't want to say colonizer mentality, but it is what it is. We could go over there and make money. And it's like creating the problems and then selling us the solution to make money. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's just, I don't like it, but I mean, it is what it is. And me not liking it, it's like, it's a reality of, I will say, the past that we have to accept so that we can move into a future where that is no longer the case. Where we don't see suffering or trouble or disenfranchisement question mark as an opportunity to make money, and we don't see people as things to sort of like profit off of when it comes to necessities, right? Now, like if you are into music or art or entertainment or something like that, and if you see people as profit, I feel like, you know, that's kind of sort of fine-ish, right? It's like, well, let me tap into what people want and let me give them what they want. If you're tapped into like human wants, now I don't know, it gets tricky, but like to be in a space of like needs and necessities and trying to profiteer off of something is like, it's easier for at least me to say that's not great. To be in a space where people like just want stuff, then it's like, okay, you know, that kind of sort of is what it is. But then also with the society that we live in, with FOMO culture, the fear of missing out, with us constantly comparing ourselves to other people, it's like the latest and greatest for some people has become a need because it fuels their self-worth. It fuels their need to be validated or whatever. Like this energy, this world is designed to keep us out of the house. Because if we're in the house chilling and just like loving and living life, it doesn't it doesn't sustain itself as well. And so here's the, I don't want to say the trap over here, but it's like running these circles where we never address what it is that really ails the heart. We just run from thing to thing to thing, from substance to substance, from band-aid to band-aid, from distraction to distraction, so that we don't have to face what's really going on. Excuse me, what's really going on with us. Five of Cups in reverse, Five of Pentacles in reverse. Emotionally, this what keeps us in a space that lets us be taken advantage of by this. And then here's this circle, and here's another circle. Here's the world we live in. And again, that's what sort of maintained it. But the snake is about to loosen its tail. And we're about to come into this dragonfly energy. Right? This could be past, present, future. Now we're in a space where we can begin to look at, analyze, and question this energy instead of being so busy all the time that we don't really have time to further ourselves and time to heal ourselves and time to mend the things within us that are broken that keeps us in the rat race. But now, through this space of destruction, comes an opportunity to be reborn and to reclaim this sort of ancient wisdom. They say dragonfly has been around since the dinosaur days. Somebody. Hierophant at the bottom of the deck. It's time for a new world order. Because the old way of doing things wasn't it. Look, there's a magician. Also in reverse. In reverse to me. So yeah. But, you know, if you've done the things to heal what ails you, is that death? Yep, it is. If you've done the things to heal what ails you, then just continue to sort of stay solid in that. And things may be a little slow and a little bleak. Oh, now justice is going upright. I love that energy. Things may be a little bleak and a little slow right now, but we're preparing for something. We're putting ourselves in a position to create and navigate in a world where people actually care. And because people care, they elect officials who care, and they support things who care. Support things who care. They support things rooted in that care. They make care a priority, so care becomes affordable and available. And we hold things and people who violate that care accountable, because we don't want to live in the world that we just came out of. And that's one reason why things can't just, like, you know how much it's like people will be like, oh, racism doesn't exist in America anymore. We have laws. And it's like laws do little to nothing if we haven't observed that. It's the people who need to change. Law can't be the only thing that changes. Politics can't be the only thing that changes. The people also need to change. We also need to change. As if people don't break the law. And if people were decent people, we probably wouldn't need laws. Right? It's like, I don't know, you shouldn't need a book to tell you, hey, be nice to people. You know, don't go out there and do stuff that you shouldn't be doing and to other people. But, you know, some folks do. Some folks need it so badly that they can't even imagine a world where someone would not have that book and would still be a decent person. And again, it's not to say anything against anything, but it's just like with that Hierophant energy, it's like, why is organization, why is pressure something needed for us to just be decent people? I don't know. Best friend, you're the person who got me into Alcazar, right? Because that song, Alcazar, This Is the World We Live In, I know they didn't originate it, but oh, this is the circle made of flame. Like a circle made of flame, no telling where it started burning. For every fire we contain, another keeps the circle turning. It's that. Because that song just popped into my mind. Yeah. So come on, make it right tonight. Gotta get in the light. Doesn't matter who you are when you're moving up without Alcazar. I'm gonna listen to that. This is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. Use them and let's start trying to make it a place worth living in. Yeah, that's still at the beginning of the song. Like a circle made of flame. Dun, 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 no telling where it started burning. For every fire you contain, a new one keeps the circle turning. Oh man, I ain't heard that song in a minute. Six of Pentacles in reverse at the top of the deck. I saw you once already, or at the bottom of the deck technically. All right, it's getting late. I haven't been eating too much lately. Ever since my body, yelled at me through biology the other day for eating all that meat. I was like, body, why are you trying to go vegetarian on me? What is this about? Oh my gosh, I feel so betrayed right now. It's fine. My body don't let me just eat copious amounts of sugar anymore either. So we're working out a new balance. We're in a transition period, I guess, before I go more food conscious. And I should have been doing that for a while, honestly. It started last year. Cosmic egg. Let's cut right there. Crocodile. We saw that earlier. Yes. Bottom of the deck is the horse spirit with that moon on his head. That horse, it's time for movements. Your stomach can. No, I know, right? My stomach is starting to get there. I'm like, oh my gosh, please, stomach, please, please. Wow, 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 wow. We're on the savannah. The zebra and the hyena, y'all. I saw the zebra earlier today, and I looked up zebra meaning, zebra spiritual meaning, and it was like much like the horse. And then here's the horse. And when I saw the horse, I was thinking about the zebra because, again, when I looked it up earlier today, it mentioned the horse. Now there's the zebra and the horse at the bottom of the deck, but this hyena. And I think I've already, maybe I haven't showed y'all. I got this like little zebra tripod thing. My mom got a unicorn. Mine is a zebra. Zebras have low-key been a message lately for me. They just keep popping up. I just keep seeing zebras. Zebra has never popped up for me, so I guess that's interesting. So we're going to read the hyena and the zebra, both associated with fire, both associated with those desert or savanna elements. Savannah. Oh, there's the panther. I saw the panther earlier. The panther and the puma. Okay. So the hyena. What's also interesting is the hyena is spotted and the zebra is striped. Right? Well, I think that's interesting. The hyena is spotted and the zebra is stripes. Spots and stripes. On the same shirt. Oof. I want it. Hyena is humor, wit, and sarcasm. The hyena personality is a jokester and crowd pleaser. But below the surface, there are unfulfilled dreams to be realized. When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? What would happen if you took your goals seriously? Oh, what would happen if you took your goals seriously? What a question. And honestly, outside of just jokes and humor and sarcasm, that's oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's deflecting. Instead of fully pursuing what it is that we want to pursue, it's blaming. And that's another thing that we've gotten really good at, blaming other people, other things for why we are where we are in life. And again, it's not to necessarily say that other people can't serve as hindrances and roadblocks along the way, but at a certain point, we just have to stand up regardless, because the situations and circumstances are or have been what they have been. But it's up to us to really decide to move forward. And sometimes we get, tricked into scapegoatism and we shift blame onto people who are not responsible at all. Like, apparently we're going there today. even though I said I wasn't. But I guess it popped into my mind enough to the point where I guess I should have known it would eventually come out. But it's like when we're blaming, quote unquote, not quote unquote, when we're blaming like illegal immigrants for stealing our jobs. And when we fall into the crowd of those people, instead of, I don't know, looking at the businesses that are outsourcing all of their work to other countries. And like, we know that companies are outsourcing work from this country into other countries. And if they're outsourcing work, where do you think those jobs are going? But instead of holding them accountable, or instead of, I don't know, directing our anger and frustration in a way towards people who are actually responsible for this, we choose to buy into the scapegoatism and to sort of like punch down and beat down on people who, like, it's like, what, that doesn't even make sense. And people are seemingly so upset by it. You would think they would have some type of words for the, corporations who are outsourcing all the work. And then they're not even treating the people in those countries fairly, some of them. And it's like, wow, they're outsourcing the work because in this country, I guess people would complain about it. So you go somewhere where folks have less, and you're like, hey, well, if you don't like it, then you ain't got to do it, knowing that they need that for some reason or another. That's that devil energy that's turned us into devils, honestly. A lot of us. Because it's what we grew up in and we never question it. And we can't suspend our disbelief enough to the point where we can imagine a world where people don't have to take advantage of each other to get by. We can't imagine a world where people don't have a minority group or somebody else to go and beat down on when they're frustrated or upset, or they just need to vent, or they want to be in some kind of power complex, God complex, whatever. Right? Because another thing that we don't have, again, with that Five of Cups and Five of Pentacles in reverse, is a sense of self-worth. We can have a sense of comparative worth. Oh, I got more than this person. I got more than that person. I got this and you don't. I'm better than you. Well, why do people need to be better than somebody else? To be better than somebody else to begin to love or like or be able to sit with themselves? Why can't you just like you for you? That's not self-worth. That's comparative worth. Because as soon as that person begins to get ahead, or as soon as they begin to grow or expand, your self-worth goes right out the window and your self-worth is threatened. And that can't happen. So you keep that circle turning. You'll start a fire to keep it burning. People can't contain the fires within themselves. This is the world I was born into, y'all. Just like, this is the world that I grow up and I see, and I'm just like, is this really it? Like, certainly this isn't it. Like, certainly this is a joke, right? One day I'm gonna wake up and all of this ain't gonna be whatever this mess is. And it's like, nope, this is the world. But it doesn't have to be like this forever. And we are at this great opportunity to make it so. So, Zebra is eccentric, creative, and visionary. Ooh. Zebras are the most precarious, precious girl. Zebras are the most precious of gems. They are young at heart, well cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life. Well cultured to me sound like they ain't trying to go out and anyway. Let me stop. Let's just dial it back a little bit. It ain't even gonna be all that. Okay, let me just finish reading this and then go my little end to bed or my big end. Let me start all over. Zebras are the most precious of gems. They are young at heart, well cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life. Being in the company of zebra personality not only is a delight, but also opens our minds. Be prepared. Their potent magic is contagious, and you may soon find yourself in a faraway land, expanding your worldview. Oh, expanding your worldview while having a blast. Sorry, I was like, is there a period in there? Zebras also like to contribute to the global health through environmental or volunteer work. This card may be a hint to pack your bags. Girl, please. I'm ready. I said, well, I ain't so ready that I ain't got my little runaway bag packed. I might start packing a little runaway bag, honestly, y'all. I already got my getaway money. I might just take that little bag, buy a one-way ticket somewhere, and just be out there. The divine will take care of me. When in balance, this is worldly, enthusiastic, and fashion forward. When out of balance, this is jaded, pouty, and vain. To bring into balance, an epic adventure or art. That's what I was talking about, coming into that world, that caring, compassionate energy. And it's just like, man, some people be calling themselves light workers on here, really not giving an F about nobody but themselves. Oh, this isn't part of my reality. This isn't happening. I don't want to be focused on everything that's going on in the world that I live in. And it's like, girl, if it's coming to your awareness, it's also a part of the world you live in. It ain't got to be your experience to be happening. Even the woke people, quote unquote, don't care. It's like, does anybody on this planet care? Like, if spirituality, and I guess that was the age of Pisces, right? Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, all of these other religions to get us closer and closer to the divine, but still can't nobody find it within their heart to care about somebody who's not like them or to care about someone who's different from them. No, let's go on crusades and all of these other things. Let's start all these wars between different teachings of love. What's wrong with people? Who broke the system? The system ain't broke. The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and people are just falling into it because, again, don't nobody care about nobody. It's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. I'm not going to say it's fine. It's changing. The bells are ringing. We are shifting into another age and another era. And at the very least, the generation of youngins coming up right now seem to be more globally sort of conscious and focused, environmentally focused. They're not going to take it. But it shouldn't necessarily have to be that, oh, wait for all the old people to die. And then, you know, when the youngins take over, we can make the world a better place. I wonder how long people have been saying stuff like that, too. I wonder if the old people now were saying similar things when they were younger. Right? What happened to the flower children of the 60s and 70s? Where are they in the world right now? Are they championing, you know, inclusivity and stuff like that? Or have they sort of gone cold? And are they in their own, you know, space of self-interest and stuff like that right now? I don't know. I made a post on my Facebook when things started going down. And one of my teachers from high school was like, you know, back when I was younger in like the 70s or whatever, I really thought that we were going to do something to solve this. And she was like, I'm disappointed in my generation because this is still an issue. And again, I think there were sometimes like we kind of sort of live in these rose-tinted worlds where we do a little bit and we think that that's enough to do whatever, and we start to feel a little good, and then we talk to people as if their problems aren't problems because, I don't know, we've miracled all their problems away, and then eventually it gets to the point where you realize that that's not necessarily the case. I feel like it's sounding a little doom and gloomy, but I do honestly have faith and believe that we are going to make it to a point where I don't have to have these feelings in a current like moment. I mean, because honestly, if we don't, I don't know if there's much of a way out of this for us. Bottom of the deck is the Hermit upright. And I don't want to have to live in a world where it's like, I just want to live in a world where people care about people. Is that too much to ask? Daughter of Cups. It's a new way of experiencing things emotionally. It's an opening of the heart that brings light to the shadow. There's a gradation to the shadow. And I don't think shadows necessarily typically do that. Do they? Should they? I don't know why this is like breaking my brain right now. Yeah. But, it's just around the corner. That world is just around the corner. That's what I'm going to start manifesting. That's what I have been manifesting. When it came to it was like November or whenever World War III was a threat, I was like, and people were like, oh my gosh, like World War III is going to happen. I was like, no, there's no way that World War III is going to happen because the hearts of humanity aren't there anymore. And I don't want to lose faith in the heart of humanity. The heart of humanity is awakening, and it is beginning to beat in ways that it wasn't beating for a long time. And again, we can see that in some ways and in some areas. And the things that stood in old and the ways that we got by in old and the days of old, they're over, they're through, they're done so. Who wants to live in a world where don't nobody care about nobody? But then people will be so quick to be like, oh, that's just the way the world is. That's just the way the world is. That's just the way the world is. Well, at what point are we going to do something to change it? Honestly, past paradigm, you don't do anything to change it. You do the best you can with your misery, and you live a miserable life, and that it is what it is. It's like, no, that's no longer acceptable. That is not an acceptable answer. It's time for things to change, and things will be changed. So, and it may be sooner than we think. And then I saw an ad for cryptocurrency. And it was like, well, cryptocurrency is kind of sort of global and we don't really print it. And there isn't necessarily one sort of organization or body that's responsible for the printing or whatever of it. And so it is kind of sort of this global currency that no one person really controls. I was like, huh. I also do believe that a lot of solutions, I feel like, especially here in America, and again, especially here in America, I feel like sometimes we have these problems that we look at as unsolvable, but the solutions exist already. We just got to decide to use them. But the utilization of some of these solutions disrupts the money. And it's almost like not people want to drain. It's almost like there's this mentality where before we switch to something else, let's drain this for every penny that it's worth. And then we'll go into the other thing. Well, when this thing is kind of sort of killing the environment or disenfranchising people or causing, animals to lose their habitats and stuff, can we afford to wait until the money dries up? Because the way that the system is working, especially here in America, for some of this stuff, the money ain't gonna never dry up. I just feel like the solutions are already out there. And if they're not out there, it's like we can come to these solutions a lot quicker. And this is the way the world works is no longer a valid excuse, was never a valid excuse. This it's just how it is, and we make do, no longer a valid excuse. There is no solution to the problems that we're facing, so we should just keep doing what we're doing instead of looking into a solution at the very least. No longer valid. Things are going to change. So thank y'all for tuning in. I didn't necessarily plan on coming live tonight. It just sort of happens. Because I was a little bit in my emotions and I wanted to be transparent about that. I do go through stuff too, although, I don't necessarily struggle too much. So, but whenever I do, I feel like it's important for me to come on and voice that. And also, like, you just saw me work through it on camera, right? And so instead of just hearing me say it, you heard me work through it live here with y'all. And honestly, just knowing that, it puts me in a space of peace. It's like, oh, I'm learning patience right now. Okay. I'm learning to deepen my emotional sort of reservoir. Okay. I'm learning to be more understanding. And I'm learning that even if something isn't communicated, and this is big for me, even if something isn't communicated to me in the way that I would necessarily like it, I can still also recognize when certain things are being communicated. And just because something isn't said exactly the way I want it to be said, don't mean that the communication is any less valid, even if the communication ain't communication. It's like, what does that mean, Patrick? I don't know. I know, but, you know, I see it. And I am listening. I'm just in a space of getting over myself. I'm not necessarily full of myself, but I do still need to get over myself sometimes, and that's what I'm doing. So, thank y'all again, and I will catch y'all later. It's been wonderful, and let's do our best to make it a place worth living in. I'm about to go listen to Alcazar. We didn't start the fire. Bye.